All right, good afternoon. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another wonderful session of Grammar in 1 Minute live with me, Alexander. I'd like to use this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for sharing the links with your friends and inviting them to participate in this wonderful experience. Just as you've been doing, I would like to encourage you again for the benefit of your friends, share the links with them, invite them, send me your comments, your suggestions, your contributions, and I'll gladly reply you. So far, we've been speaking on prepositions where we looked at the different types of prepositions. From there, we then proceed to look at the various categories of preposition, where we say we have the preposition of time, preposition of place. I believe in your daily activities, you've been making use of them. If you've not been doing, I would like to encourage you to make it a habit to put into practice everything that we've done so far and all that we'll be doing here as well. Because the intention and the purpose of all that we are doing is to help you to develop that confidence in order to communicate, not just to communicate, but to communicate effectively, to communicate meaningfully, and to get people to really appreciate and understand whatever you're talking about. So, just as a way of a recap, so far we are still on the part of speech under the grammar, where we talked about the nouns. When we say nouns are naming words, we talked about the pronouns. When we say pronouns replace, already mentioned now in sentences, and then we talked about adjectives. So we say adjectives modify noun in a sentence. We talk about a verb where we say a verb expresses an action, a condition, or a state of being. We then proceed to talk about adverb, where we say an adverb modifies an adjective, a verb, or another adverb in a sentence. Currently, we are on preposition, where we say we have 6 types of preposition, where we have the simple preposition, we have the double preposition, the compound preposition, the complex preposition. Then we talked about the disguised preposition as well. And then we talk about the categories of preposition, where we say preposition can be categorized depending on the roles that they are playing in sentences. We have preposition that deals with time. And then we look at some few examples of them where we considered prepositions like on, at, and in as the basic or the simplest type of prepositions of time that we have. And again, we look at preposition of place, where we say under the preposition of place, we are talking about location and direction. Where we look at again, where we say that even though at can serve as a preposition of time, the same at can function as a preposition of place. Now, in today's series, before we proceed, just as I always say, if this program has been very beneficial to you, I would like to hear from you. So send me your comments, send me your questions, send me your contributions. Let the world know and appreciate that you are really benefiting from all that we've been doing so far. And as always, share the links with your friends and your family. Now, in today's series, we want to consider prepositions that we use in establishing connections. Prepositions that we use in establishing connections. So even though generally we say prepositions are words that we use to bring other classes of words together, there are specific types of prepositions that we use to establish connections. And today we will look at 3 of them, 3 basic types of prepositions that we use in establishing connections. That is what we'll be looking at today. The first type of preposition that we use to establish connection is the preposition of. Of, the preposition of. What does it do? So we say the preposition of is used to establish the relationship between 2 noun phrases. Is used to establish the relationship between 2 noun phrases to show that one part of the subject or the sentence depends on the other part. So the preposition of is used to show the relation between 2 noun phrases that the first one belongs or is part of the second one. So if you have 2 things and you want to establish the link that one part of the thing that you have or one aspect of the thing that you have depend or is part of the other one, we use the preposition of to establish that. We use the preposition of to establish that, to show that an aspect of something is dependent or related to another aspect of the thing, the same thing, or in the same category. For example, if I have a computer and I have a keyboard, now I want to show that the keyboard is part of the computer, or I want to show that the keyboard is a component, a member of the computer. I use the relation of, the preposition of, to show that relation. So I'll say the keyboard is part of the computer. The keyboard is part of the computer. Or the keyboard of my computer is black. The keyboard of my computer is black. So in this sentence, of here is showing that one part belongs to or is part of the second part. So the keyboard is a part of the computer. So that I'm using the preposition of to show that link, that one part, which is the keyboard, is a component of the computer. So that's the first preposition that shows connection that we're talking about, the preposition of. Again, we use the preposition of to show how people are related. Aside using it to show how things are related, we use it to show how people are also related. How people are also related. So if I have a friend, and this particular friend is very good to me, and I want to show the relation between my friend and I'll say he is a very good friend of mine. He is a very good friend of mine. In this case, I am showing that the relation that I have with that particular friend. I am showing the relation that I have with that particular friend. Or if a mother wants to show the relation that he had with his son to another person, he used the preposition of to show it. So, or I want to show the relation that a particular person belongs to or is a member of a particular or another family, I use the preposition of to show it. So this is the son of Mr. A. This is the son of Mr. A, or this is the daughter of Mr. B. So I am showing the relation. So in connecting or showing the connection that exists between people, we use the preposition of to show that connection. The preposition of is used to show that particular connection, to show that things are dependent, or one thing depends on the other, or people are related. So that's the first type of preposition that shows connection that we're talking about. The second type of preposition that we'll be talking about is the preposition with. Is the preposition with. With the preposition with, what connection does it show? We say the preposition with shows the relationship between two types of noun phrases when the second one is part of the first one. So anytime the first noun is part of the second noun, we use the preposition with to show it. So if I have something and the thing is connected to another thing, and I want to show that relation, that the first one is part or a feature of the second one, I use the preposition with to show it. So imagine I previously talked about my computer with my keyboard. Now, if something should happen to my computer and I want to show the relation between my computer and then the thing that happened and then to the keyboard, I use a preposition with. So I can say, I spilled the coffee on the computer with the black keyboard. I spilled the coffee on the computer with the pink or the black keyboard. So in this case, I am showing you that a particular feature, a particular thing which has a feature belongs to another class of thing. It is very important to understand this point, that if you are showing the relation that the first thing or the second thing is a dependent on the other thing, we use a preposition with to show that. So we say with a preposition with between two noun phrases when the second one is a particular feature of the first one. Between two noun phrases when the second one is a particular feature of the first one. So you remember that the keyboard and the computer, the keyboard is a particular feature of the computer. The keyboard is a particular feature of the computer. So in showing that relation, that's why I give the example, I spilled coffee on the computer with the black keyboard, to show that the second one is a particular feature of the first one. Again, we use the preposition with to say that people or things are together. We use the preposition with to show that people or things are together. So imagine I decide to go out and I decide not to go alone but to go with other friends. So to show that I am going out but not alone but in a company of other people, I use the preposition with to show that I am going in a company of others. So I went to the junction with my friend. I went to the junction with my friend. I went to the junction with my friend. So in this case, I went to the junction in a company of my friend. So to show that people or things are together, we use the preposition with to show that connection. We use the preposition with to show that particular connection, that people or things are together. Okay? To show that people or things are together. Another example is, I went to the workshop. I went to the workshop with my friends. I went to the workshop with my friends. What it simply means is that after the time I'm going to the workshop, I didn't go alone. I went in the company of other people, and those people are my friends. I went in the company of other people who are my friends. So I went to the workshop with my friends. Okay? Now, the third type of preposition that shows connections is a preposition by. Is a preposition by. The preposition by. But before we come to the preposition by, again, there's another aspect of the preposition with that you need to understand. There's another aspect of the preposition with that you need to understand. We again use the preposition with for specific things that are used to perform an action. So anytime you use a specific thing to perform an action and you want to show the connection of the action that you perform or the thing and the thing that you use a preposition with to indicate it. So let's say in my room there's a spider, so I decide to kill the spider, and then in killing the spider I used a book. There's a spider in my room. I decide to kill the spider, and I used a book to kill the spider. So how do I connect the spider that I killed and the book? How do I connect it? You remember that in killing the spider, I used a specific thing to kill it. Now, that specific thing that I used to kill the spider is the book. So I need to establish the connection between the book and the spider. So I say, I killed the spider with a book. I killed the spider with a book. So I am now establishing the connection between the spider and the book. And remember that I used the book, which is a specific thing, for an action. So that's another use or usage of the preposition with. The last aspect, that's a preposition by. We use a preposition by when we want to describe an action in a more general way. When we want to describe an action in a more general way, we use the preposition by. So remember that whilst the preposition with is describing a specific action, the preposition by is used in describing an action in a more general way. The preposition by is used to describe an action in a more general way. So my roommate saved my life by killing the spider. I saved my roommate's life by killing the spider. So in this case, I'm referring to the action in a general way. But previously, I said for specific, I said I killed the spider with a book. But in this case, I want to generalize the action or to describe the action in a general way. So I use by to describe it. So anytime you are using the preposition by to indicate or to show a connection, is used to when you want to describe an action in a more general way. For example, I saved the life of my roommate by killing the spider. Okay, so as a way of recap, that is the three common types of prepositions that we use to establish connections. There are others that we use, but these are the three basic ones that we use anytime we want to establish a connection between two nouns in a sentences. These are the three that we use. We use the preposition of, we use the preposition with, and then we use the preposition by. Where, as a way of summary, we say we use the preposition of to show that two noun phrases, to show that the first one is part of the second one. To show that the first one is part of the second one. Or to say how people are related. We use the preposition of to say how people are related. And then we proceed to look at the preposition with. The preposition with. Well, we say we use the preposition with to describe something when the second one is a particular feature of the first one. To describe two nouns when the first noun is a particular feature of the second noun, or when the second noun is the feature or particular feature of the first one. Again, we use the preposition with to say that people or things are together. To say that people or things are together. Finally, with the preposition with, we say you can use it with to describe a specific thing that we use to perform an action. So anytime you want to refer to a specific thing that you use in performing an action, you use the preposition with to describe it. You use the preposition with to describe it. And finally, under the preposition that we use in establishing connections, we talked about preposition by. We talked about the preposition by. Or we say we use the preposition by when we want to describe an action in a more general way. We use the preposition by when we want to describe an action in a more general way. On this note, we bring today's wonderful session to an end. And as always, I would like to encourage you to share the links with your friends, send in your comments and your questions and your contribution. I would love to hear from you. So please send me your comments, questions, or anything that is bothering your mind in regards to or in relation to grammar, and I will do my possible best to send you the desired answers as well. Till then, have a wonderful week. Continue practicing. And remember, with grammar, you speak better. Have a wonderful